January 2018. Cape Town's reservoir levels hit 13.5%. Municipal engineers are drafting plans to physically shut off the taps to 4 million people. Day zero, the day the water stops, is 90 days away. Cape Town is not a developing city. It has functioning infrastructure, a strong municipal government, and a population accustomed to first world services. And yet, in early 2018, it became the first major city in the modern era to come within weeks of a complete municipal water shutdown. This wasn't a story from a conflict zone or a failed state. This was a global city, home to 4 million people, a world-class tourism industry, and one of Africa's most visited landmarks, staring down the very real possibility that its taps would run dry. How did it happen? How did the city respond? And what does Cape Town's near collapse tell us about where dozens of other cities on Earth are quietly heading? This is the full Day Zero story. The crisis didn't arrive overnight. It built across 3 consecutive years of below average rainfall, 2015, 2016, 2017, each one drawing the Waterskloof Reservoir lower than the last. The Waterskloof is the linchpin of Cape Town's water system. It holds roughly half the city's total water supply. When its levels began dropping year after year without recovery, the city's buffer disappeared. What made it worse was allocation. Roughly 60% of the Western Cape's water goes not to taps, but to agriculture, wine farms, fruit orchards, wheat fields. As the drought deepened, the debate over whether to redirect agricultural water to the city became politically charged and logistically complex. There was no clean answer. There never is. By late 2017, the numbers were undeniable. The dams were at 26%. By January 2018, 13.5%. And the summer rains, the ones that were supposed to refill the reservoirs, weren't coming. The city of Cape Town began planning for something it had never planned for before. The complete shutdown of municipal water supply. The plan was stark. 200 communal collection points would be set up across the city. Each resident would be entitled to 25 liters per day, the bare humanitarian minimum recommended by the World Health Organization. Collection would be managed by the South African National Defence Force. 25 liters sounds like a lot until you consider what it covers. Drinking, cooking, sanitation, personal hygiene for an entire day. That's roughly 1 toilet flush and a 2-minute shower. And nothing else. City officials began working with hospitals, businesses, and schools on continuity plans. Hotels started stockpiling. Supermarkets rationed bottled water. The infrastructure of a functioning city began quietly preparing for a scenario none of its residents actually believed would happen. What happened next is one of the most remarkable examples of collective urban behavior in modern history. The city imposed a strict 87 liter per day limit per person. It published a real-time online map showing the water usage of every street in Cape Town, effectively making every household's consumption visible to their neighbors. Social pressure became a conservation tool. High-usage suburbs made the news. Low-usage ones were celebrated. Residents timed their showers with kitchen timers. Grey water from washing was redirected to flush toilets. Swimming pools were left empty. Car washes closed. Restaurants stopped serving water by default. And it worked. Cape Town, a city that had been consuming over 1.2 billion liters of water per day, cut its usage to under 500 million liters. It's almost unprecedented for a city of this size to voluntarily halve its own water consumption without a complete shutdown, forcing it to do so. The psychology of Day Zero, the specific naming of a deadline, turned an abstract drought into a personal countdown. It made the crisis legible, and legible crises get responses. In late 2018, the rains returned, not in dramatic fashion, not a single biblical downpour, but a season that finally delivered what 3 years had withheld. Slowly, incrementally, the Waterskloof began to fill. By mid-2018, dam levels had climbed back above 50%. Day Zero was pushed back, then cancelled entirely. Was it luck? Yes, partly. The rains came, but conservation had bought the city critical weeks that, if the drought had continued 1 season longer, may have been the difference between a managed crisis and a catastrophe. Cape Town didn't solve the problem. It survived it. and those are not the same thing. Cape Town was not an anomaly. It was a preview. Chennai, India, ran out of water entirely in 2019. São Paulo, Brazil, came within days of shutdown in 2015. Mexico City loses 40% of its water to leakage every year, while aquifers beneath it steadily collapse. Melbourne, Barcelona, and Los Angeles all appear on climate risk assessments for severe water stress by 2040. The lesson from Cape Town is not just about infrastructure, it's about communication, behavior, and political will. The Day Zero framing worked because it gave people a deadline to act against. Other cities facing the same trajectory are still calling it a long-term problem. Long-term problems don't get 500 million litre reductions. Countdown clocks do. One question for you, and we genuinely want the answer. Could this happen in your city? Drop where you're watching from in the comments and tell us honestly, does your city have a water plan? Cape Town Chronicles covers the stories that matter, from the city and for the world. If this one made you think, subscribe. The next one goes even deeper.